I don't know what that is. It's the 22nd of September. Tomorrow, the 23rd of September, is the first case management meeting between Murdoch. I've got to change this title because I messed up. So tomorrow or on Friday is the first case management hearing between Crikey, Lachlan Murdoch, and private media, which is going to be quite significant. Lachlan Murdoch has arrived into town. So when we look at the court file, we'll see that we have got the originating application, statement of claim, there was an amended document, just for service, non-prescribed report, a defence by private media, and a reply. Now, when we look at the public file, we can see that there is only the originating application and the statement of claim. Now, the Guardian has made a report, did an article. So private media says in court documents that no one would read the words of Crikey article literally. And Crikey is going to address this as well in their they're going to talk about their defence. They've made a statement. But a Crikey article in which said that the Murdoch family was an unindicated co-conspirator on the January 6th riots was self-evidently hyperbolic. Publisher Private Media has argued in court documents defending a defamation suit from Lachlan Murdoch filed in the federal court. So last month, co-chair of News Corp, Lachlan Murdoch, hello Doom, how are you? Sued for defamation and against the independent news site and the editor, using that Trump is a confirmed unhinged traitor and Murdoch is his unindicated co-conspirator. So he's suing because he's saying it's about him. So private media was pleading three defences. The new public interest defence that came in 2021. So if there is a matter that is public interest, you are actually able to use that as a defence. So that's a new defence. Implied freedom of political communication and failure to accept reasonable offer of amends. So the company said the article did not suggest the Murdochs were guilty of the criminal conspiracy. No one would read the words literally as suggesting that the Murdochs were guilty of criminal conspiracy or treason under US law. The defence filed in federal court. So the hearing is on Friday. Murdoch has retained barrister Sue Chrysanthu, who happens to, we know has done Braz, who has also represented Christian Porter. And it's interesting, it says private media has barrister Michael Hodge, KC. Now, I thought, what does KC mean? Now, we have had for the longest time QC, which means Queen's Counsel. So KC is King's Counsel because we now have a king. Of course. The reference to the Murdochs in the article used creative license to pick up the notorious identification of former US President Richard Nixon as the unindicated co-conspirator in Watergate, drawing a parallel to the January 6 riots. Private media said the article did not cause serious harm to Murdoch because of his alleged bad reputation among the Australian people for his role as CEO of Fox News. Murdoch is not the chief executive of Fox News. He's the chief executive of the parent company Fox Corporation, and Suzanne Scott has that role. Private media argues the references to Murdoch in a statement of Keen's opinion based on his knowledge of the extensive reporting of Fox News' involvement in the events leading up to January 6 and the Murdoch's role as guiding the minds of Fox editorial strategy and programming. Neither Keen nor Frey considered it necessary to contact Murdoch for comment because he was not the target of the article. And the article was an opinion piece, not news reporting. It's going to be very interesting. At the time of publishing, Frey and Keen, who were both respondents, were conscious of the importance of freedom of expression in the discussion of matters of public interest. So we know Murdoch's lawyer said the articles and headlines and social media posts carried a number of highly defamatory and false imputations about him, and they were not in the public interest and were part of a cynical scheme to harm Murdoch. In the response of the defence filed, Murdoch's lawyers said they'll ask the judge to strike out much of private media's defence because it is embarrassing and irrelevant to find fact in issue other than to the extent in which they were in their minds. The paragraphs Murdoch's team said are irrelevant include a timeline which includes how Keane told Frey he'd seen evidence of Cassidy Hutchinson before the January 6th committee and he should write about it, and that Frey agreed, and Key's extensive university qualifications in history, including a PhD, and extensive experience working in the Commonwealth Public Service on Australian media policy. The defence included a list of Keane's articles as well as media commentary concerned with the role. Both Frey and Mr. Keane firmly believed the references to Mr. Murdoch were a statement of Mr. Keane's opinion based on his knowledge of the extensive reporting of the involvement reported of Fox News' involvement in the events leading up to January 6th and then Murdoch's roles as guiding minds of Fox editorial strategy and programming, defence said. So, as I said, we can't access the files yet. They've not released them, but they have been, the defence and reply were submitted, so in time for the court hearings. So that's that. So this is, so Crikey is private media. So this is a statement on Mr. Lachlan Murdoch versus Crikey's publisher, private media. Lachlan Murdoch is suing Crikey's publisher, private media, journalist Bernard Keane and Crikey's editor-in-chief, Peter Frey. Private media CEO Will Haywood has released the following statement. Private media has filed its defence to the defamation claim made by Lachlan Murdoch against the company and its journalists. Since the beginning, our intention has been to bring the use of defamation law by the rich and powerful into the light, so we wanted to explain the key points of our legal defence on what we are doing from here. Now, a lot of people would, because we don't have anti-slap laws, so this was considered a slap. From some people, considered it as a slap, which is where the big people try and silence the little people. So they decided that they were gonna fight it. Firstly, we simply deny that we have defamed Lachlan Murdoch. The relevant words in our articles are: the Murdochs are a slew of poisonous Fox News commentators, are the unindicted co-conspirators of this continuing crisis. The court will decide what our readers would have taken them to mean. We do not believe the average Australian of reasonable intelligence, the test for this part of defamation law, would have read the article and interpreted it in the way Mr. Murdoch claims. So Lachlan Murdoch has said, it's about me. Secondly, we take issue with whether Crikey should be prevented by law from stating honestly held opinions as an act of free speech. As a matter of obvious and high public interest, it is our opinion that Fox News actively supported and promoted a concerted attempt to jeopardise American democracy. That attempt began with Donald Trump's false claim of a stolen election and culminated with a violent mob assault on the US Capitol on January 6, 2021. It is fair that someone might disagree with the opinion we expressed, but we think it is a reasonable argument to make, and the right to express such an opinion is absolutely critical to the functioning of an open, modern democracy. We stand firmly against censorship, especially in matters of significant public interest. As such, our case will test the new public interest defence, specifically as it relates to opinion writing as opposed to investigative reporting. The final element of our defence is that we do not believe Lachlan Murdoch has suffered any harm. Again, we think it is important in an open, well-functioning society that the rich and powerful can be critiqued and that there is a high bar to reach before they have suffered serious harm from an opinion article. Taking on this fight is risky, and we are not foolish enough to predict its outcome. However, we believe that there is an issue of fundamental public importance at stake, and that is why we are defending the case brought against our company and our journalists. From here, we must largely hand the matter over to the courts of law. While other media outlets will be free to critique the process and offer all kinds of opinions on the matters at stake, we intend to remain largely silent. In the rest of our journalism, however, we will continue to hold the rich and powerful to account, as we have always done at Crikey. We believe what we published was in the public interest. We believe unreservedly in the principle of a free pass. Thank you to all who have supported to us and those that continue. And then they've put down there that you can support Crikey. So that is very interesting. So they're really testing the public interest standard, and the fact that the ordinary reasonable person would not automatically assume that if it says the Murdochs, that it would be Lachlan Murdoch. So anyway, I thank you for watching. I'd be really interested to know what you think. Leave a comment below, and I hopefully will have it. I'm working at the Royal Show again tomorrow, and I'll miss it. However, I will probably, there'll be no doubt it'll be reported on, and I'll have the details for you as soon as I've got them. And until then, I bid you farewell. Have a good one. Bye for now.